A Pakistani journalist has been rescued 2 years after she went missing while probing the disappearance of an Indian citizen, Hamid Ansari, way back in 2015. Now, the 24-year-old journalist by name Zeenat Shahzadi was recovered from near the Pakistan-Afghan border, and according to Pakistan authorities, Missing Persons Commission chief, the kidnapping of the journalist was the handiwork of quote-unquote the non-state actors and enemy agencies. The journalist had gone missing after she filed a plea in Pakistan's Supreme Court on behalf of Hamid Ansari's mother. Now, Hamid had been in Pakistani custody after he had crossed into the country from Afghanistan, where he went to look for a job in 2012. He was convicted for espionage and sentenced to 3 years of imprisonment by a Pakistani court. Right, and for more on this, we are joined in by Mr. Jasupal, who is the lawyer and human rights activist from United Kingdom. Mr. Jasupal, how do you look at this case where a Pakistani journalist had been abducted for 2 years? It's not very clear as to who were the people who had actually first abducted her.
All right, good afternoon. Yes, I am very familiar with the case. I was in touch with Zeenat and also Mrs. Ansari. Mrs. Ansari contacted me right at the beginning when her son disappeared. It is absolutely outrageous that in the 21st century, a young woman on her way to work on the 19th of August 2015 is abducted, and there's no police investigation was limited as far as I understand, and now she's discovered.
Right.
I don't know who's responsible for this, but I am very concerned about Zeenat. She's a young lady who was trying to do what she knows best, which was to help a person in need and help the mother of Hamid Ansari to find out what had happened to her son. That, in no civilized world, is a reason to abduct somebody for helping a fellow human being. So it's extremely warped. I feel very, very sorry for her family. Zeenat, while Zeenat was away, abducted, her young brother, who had learning difficulties, had a very close bond with her, committed suicide. Right. I haven't spoken to Zeenat or her family as yet, but no doubt the woman is traumatized. She's a young reporter who was trying to do what she thought was right, and now I do not know what has happened to her, whether she was tortured, basically traumatized for not being around with her family.
Absolutely, Ms. Uppal. Now, one of the big questions which comes to anyone's mind immediately while looking at this case, as you've been following this case very closely, the fact of the matter is it's not clear who were the abductors in this case. If she was abducted and kept in custody for like 2 years, how was her release secured? Was there a ransom that was paid? That is not clear. And also information on who could have abducted her and the motive for such an abduction. There is information that is glaringly missing in this case. Could you suspect that someone involved in the Pakistani establishment could have actually gone ahead and done this abduction?
Well, it would not surprise me. It's not something new. What is new? That it was a young lady that was abducted. There are a lot of people who dissent for whatever reason, or they're protesting about normal things that people do in civilized world, like human rights. Because the state doesn't like it, they go and abduct them. That's not the way to deal with things. Abduction, enforced disappearance seems to be a regular feature in Pakistan. They really need to grow up. The authorities really need to join the civilized world and stop doing that. They should allow people to express their views and deal with them in a democratic way. You just don't abduct them. That's not a civilized world. We're not in the medieval times.
Right.
You don't do that. You write papers, you have intellectual sparring, not physical abductions, and try to stifle debate.
Absolutely, indeed. And also the fact that Zeenat was a journalist who was looking into the case of, Hamid Ansari, who was accused of espionage and later convicted by a court within Pakistan for espionage.
Yes.
So, can we actually, no, my question essentially is, can we join the dots? Is it because Zeenat was trying to help Hamid Ansari out, where he was accused of espionage within Pakistan and convicted by the courts? Is that the reason which led to her abduction?
Well, you don't have to be the brain of the world to come to that conclusion. Obviously, they didn't like her investigating. That's what she does. She's a journalist. And as I say, it's a regular feature in Pakistan, and they really need to grow up and do something about it. And you know, they've been appointed in a matter of days. They've got a seat on the United Nations Human Rights Council. I don't know what criteria they use to appoint them, but obviously they're not living up to that. As for Hamid Ansari, he was a lovelorn young man who obviously fell for a honey trap on Facebook and took it upon himself to travel to Pakistan, and he did so via Afghanistan, so it appears. It's very wrong to do that. If you wanted to go to Pakistan, you should have applied for the necessary appropriate documents, visa, to enter the country, which he didn't do. But he's been punished enough. Pakistan authorities are saying he's not here. Then we discover he is there, and he's court-martialed. Why is he court-martialed? He's a civilian. He shouldn't be court-martialed. He's served over 3.5, 4 years now, and it seems to be their standard excuse, stock-in-hand excuse. If you're Indian, you must be a spy. What logic is that? I don't know where they study these people in Pakistan. They really need to grow up and join the civilized world.
Absolutely, Ms. Uppal. We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us and getting us all those inputs. So this is a bizarre case where a journalist was abducted. Later, she has now been released, but there are still big loopholes in terms of who could have actually abducted her and kept her in detention for almost 2 years now.